morning to you all. As I mentioned at the beginning of class, this is our last week of classes for the fall semester and for the rest of this 2024. But of course, school years kind of work in between 2 years. So hopefully everyone feels good about the winter break schedule and everything like that. But we can talk about that in a little bit. But since we're kind of winding down, I wanted to definitely do some review activities with you and try and get you a little bit ready to go into winter break. Remember that there's still campus is still open next week, so if you need to or want to go in and take a practice test, you can. I've contacted a few of you who are ready to progress test. Dustin, you might be close too. I'll have to check. After this week, you might be ready, and it would be good to try and get those progress tests in before break, just so that once again, we're testing you and measuring your learning while it's fresh and new and hot and not been cooled off over a nice, delightful holiday winter break. So anyway, I'll quit yakking. And we'll jump aboard here. So, of course, the theme of this semester in this class has been looking at text, and I'm sure I have, hopefully, if you've hung in there with me through most of the fall, your eyes are probably bleeding, but reading is really, such a fundamental skill that you need for all of your other, kind of things and pieces. So it is important that you, take the time to read, feel like you can read strategically for different purposes. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting all preachy again. So we've been mostly focusing on being able to recognize the structure of a text, which helps us understand the kinds of ideas and relationships between ideas that we want to show and demonstrate. And so we had kind of an overview, and then, we looked specifically at, I believe, 6 different text structures to really hopefully get a good feel for how each of them organizes and presents information. Once again, how do those relationships work and help us understand, these bigger, more complex ideas. Okay. And so hopefully you noticed that here, I kind of liked this set of texts that I chose for today's class because they're all on the same topic per se, right? But hopefully you guys are seeing how the text structure affects and shapes the topic. And hopefully, once again, that helps you feel like you can identify things quickly and be efficient and be able to, find and access the information that you need. All right, give me one sec. Well, you want to go out or you just want the door open? All right. Okie doke. Excuse me. Okay, so our first passage. Okay. Let's look at it this way. Okay. So I know that it was hard to get the point, so don't worry too much about that, and don't worry too much about that. But okay. So, we can see, let's see if I can, well, let me look at this. Question response. Okay. So sorry guys, I'm gonna keep jumping around here. All right, let's look at the first passage. Okay. What's in the sky? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a firework. Fireworks capture the attention of crowds around the world, but how do they work? First, the firework is stuffed into a tube loaded with gunpowder. This is the mortar. Second, a fuse leads to the mortar. A fuse leading to the mortar is lit. Sorry, I probably typed that poorly. When the fuse ignites the gunpowder in the mortar, an explosion launches the firework into the air. A fuse on the firework is lit at the same um, time as the mortar fuse, but this fuse burns more slowly, allowing the firework to get into the air before it explodes. After it has risen to its peak, the fireworks should explode, causing tiny pieces of metal to burn in different colors as they scatter outward. Ooh. Okay. So when we think about the paragraph's topic, and one of the things that I mentioned, but maybe some of you guys didn't quite hear, is yes, the paragraph is about fireworks, but is it just about fireworks? Because I think my whole kind of point, right, and my hint was, right, fireworks is definitely a part of the topic of all of these paragraphs. Good. Yeah. And exactly, Wade. Yeah. And so it's not just fireworks, because once again, if that was our topic, we couldn't really cover it, right? In however many, I mean, there's kind of a lot of sentences here, but they're kind of short, or there's quite a few short ones, right? So yes, so something more about how they work. So I know, like, what I put here was either making fireworks or how fireworks work. And I know that a lot of other people, let's see. Oh, right. So fireworks, okay, 5 of you said that, but once again, we would say, you know,
Is that
it's
too
more.
generalized of an answer?
Yep.
I kind
So
of
this
thought so.
one, yeah. So here, this one's
I put
good.
firework. I put fireworks and how it works, and it
Mhm.
says it
Yeah,
was
yeah. No, I would definitely mark that one correct. I'd mark this one correct. Um, and so once again, describes how firework works. That's good. Um, okay. Um, why would we say that this one is not a good answer? Sorry. Anyone got any ideas why I'm saying this is not a good answer for the topic? It's not an awful answer. If I could give half a point, I would. But the thing to remember, guys, is that when you're, analyzing a text and kind of trying to pull out information from the text, copying a whole sentence from the text just isn't the best way to do that, because when you start copying from a text, it's really easy to get into the habit of what we call plagiarizing, which is taking someone's actual words and sentences and kind of putting them down so that they almost look like your own, like and that's just unfortunately not how a school wants you to cite a text. So always try to package, you found the topic sentence, right? That gives us the topic, but always try to package it in your own words and really try to do your best to resist the need or the urge to want to just copy, especially a whole sentence out of the text. Okay. Here it's not necessarily wrong or bad, but it's something that we would want to try to avoid. Um, oh, how
So
do
is that
I?
just aside from it being plagiarism?
Mhm.
Is
both
that the right
good.
answer?
Well, I mean, once again, I would say that this is more of like, it's okay.
Wait,
It's okay, Wade.
I
It's
love
okay.
it. I did it
This
too.
is your second class. Yeah, and it's okay. I would just say that this is more of what we would call the topic sentence. And you guys, I didn't put that in the directions, and I probably should have made that clear going forward, but it's okay. And like I said, so definitely like when you have to do your writing part on the GED test, you wouldn't ever want to directly copy. You'd want to have to put those in quotes to show that it's from the text. So, so yeah, so I would say that there's kind of a slight difference between a topic sentence and a topic. Okay. A topic should come out of the topic sentence, but once again, it should be something we can kind of package into a little less than a sentence. And then the topic sentence is what kind of allows us to put our topic into our text and kind of start writing from there. So it's not necessarily, that bad. No, it's okay. It's okay, Wade. I didn't make it clear. And this is why we're in class and why we talk about stuff so that, I can learn from you guys too and help see, because it's a good inclination. And the next step is going to be to then, now that you've found that topic sentence, package it into your own words. But no biggie. I'm going to save that. Okay. So then if we look at good. So about half of you thought it was a descriptive paragraph, and 6 of you correctly identified that this is a sequence or process text, which would have been, I believe, unit 3, where we kind of lumped chronological and processes and sequences kind of all together because they use the right, they share right signal words and phrases. Why is descriptive not an appropriate structure for this text? Or does anyone want to argue with me that it is descriptive? I mean, hopefully you guys remember how, and it's okay if you weren't here for this part of the class, but of course, descriptive is kind of the kitchen sink when it feels like there's a lot going on. But remember too that descriptive text is going to be very vivid. It's going to be focused on painting a picture with words and being very, vivid and stuff. And so it kind of starts out that way.
It does. It says, is it a bird? Is it a plane? Then it tells you how the firework is made,
right. And where's the focus?
Let's see.
Is the focus on kind of still making out fireworks to be like Superman? Or is it really mostly focused on that process?
It's focused on a process of how it's made, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this would be another good kind of example text of how
tricky.
Yeah, right.
Very
Sometimes
tricky.
They package a little bit of fun and kind of sprinkle it in at the beginning, but right away, when like by the 4th sentence, we get this kind of transitional phrase. And then if it's going to launch directly into first, and then right away I see second, and then I see after. So right away, I know we've transitioned away from kind of that descriptive kind of what we would call that more of like a hook, right? Where it kind of grabs our attention, but then it kind of, yeah. And Wade, you're doing fine. And you're hopping in here. I know this is your second day, so don't worry too much about it, because a lot of the rest of us have had more time and exposure and practice to this stuff. But remember, you guys, if this stuff is feeling, confusing and you have some time on your own, you can go back and review, all of the stuff that we've already covered, the first 6 units that we've done. You can watch videos if you need to go back and kind of watch us work through a similar activity. So, if you're kind of hopping in later into the game than some of these other folks, if you have time to go back and review, there are, means and ways to do that. So, and don't feel too bad, but I appreciate the interaction. Okay. And so then for the third question, right? The transition signals that help you, the ones that I see in this text, right, is because once again, because I know it's a process or a sequence, I'm looking for those time order words, right? So, so first is always, right, easy. Second, okay. I don't see a third, but then I see a after, which gives us, right, our kind of our third step there. When is also, right, a time that allows us to kind of talk about multiple events and sequence them together. Okay. So those were the 4 transition signals that I saw in passage 1. Okay. Let's see how you guys did. Whoa. There's my doodles. Oops. So once again, the whole paragraph itself isn't going to be the signal, but it looks like you guys did a good job. Okay. Remember, our transition signal words are those kind of function words inside our text that help us move between ideas and connect, right? And see that relationship. So here, right, we have a very basic relationship of kind of 3 steps to help us understand how fireworks work. So in that third part, you're looking for short words or phrases, usually at the beginning of a sentence or in the middle of a sentence, connecting 2 parts, like we saw with compare, contrast, or cause and effect. Okay. Or even, like I said, some of those time relationships. Okay. All right. So, all right. Any thoughts or comments on passage 1? Is everyone feeling good? And yeah, so they might try to trick you with a little bit of descriptive hook at the beginning, but remember, it is a whole text, and those oftentimes we can rely on those first sentences to set us up. Other times they're doing this kind of other job of hooking the audience. All right, let's look at paragraph or passage 2 here. Okay, and I'm sorry, I haven't made this very big on my screen, have I? I guess it's bigger than. All right, so now we've got this text here. All right, fireworks are beautiful, but as with many beautiful things, they are also dangerous. Misusing fireworks can result in property damage, injury, and even the loss of life. Such accidents usually happen for 1 or 2 reasons. The operations may be using poorly manufactured products. I'm sorry, guys. I was typing really fast before class.
Yeah, I was like suing.
I'm surprised. I know. I'm surprised Ryan isn't calling me out. He must be too sleepy. So the operations may be using poorly manufactured products such as fireworks with fuses that burn too quickly. I would think too the age of the gunpowder, I think, can also be an effect, or the quality of it maybe as well. A defective firework can cause even the most skilled operators to have an accident. Absolutely, right? Other times, however, it is the operator who is at fault. The operator may be unskilled or distracted and make a mistake, such as setting up an explosion sequence improperly or not accounting for conditions in the environment, like soundproofing foam. Okay. Not quite sure what that's about, but maybe it catches on fire or something. I don't know. For these reasons, even the most beautiful firework displays can turn really ugly really quickly. Okay. So once again, hopefully you kind of notice, like, okay, we still are kind of on the same topic, but this paragraph, right, is giving us information along different lines than our first paragraph about fireworks. So let's see. All right. So it looks like some of you guys did a good job here. I know, like I said, I couldn't think of all of the possible answers, but let's see. Sorry. So I would say danger of fireworks is good. Explaining how dangerous fireworks can be. Misusing fireworks, good. Negative effects that could happen. What is wrong with this phrase trying to give us a topic, or what's problematic about it? I won't say wrong. It's just, it needs a little love. It's just too general, right? To be a topic.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
could happen. I mean, negative effects could happen with me just sitting here, right? I don't know. Maybe a whirlwind, a tornado will bust into the room and blow me away. I don't know. So remember with your topics to be specific, right? Negative effects that could happen when misusing fireworks, right? Or something like that. We need the thing, right? If your topic doesn't name a thing, it might be problematic, okay? Here we don't necessarily need that also, right? We're only focused on the dangers. That's the majority of the information. So remember, just be a little cautious about copying chunks directly out of the text. Problems of fireworks, I'd say that's okay. Problems with fireworks. Um, fine. So it looks like you guys are doing very nice job here. Once again, we don't need this like additional signal here. Um, while it is part of that topic sentence, right? It's really just connecting or making that contrast between the beauty and the danger, right? Associated with fireworks. But so, like I said, you don't need that kind of additional idea signal there. Here, once again, this is more of like the topic sentence rather than the topic, but it is the topic sentence and it's doing its job. Okay. All right. So good job on the topic of passage 2. When we look at what is the structure of the text for passage 2, good. It looks like the majority of you guys were spot on. It is a cause and effect passage. It does look a little compare and contrasty at the beginning, as does the third passage, right? And I can see why you might have, if you were skimming and didn't really look too much down here, okay, I can see why cause and effect, right? It or compare and contrast, right, is kind of just this first sentence is compare and contrast. And then hopefully you guys see that right away from there, from this idea of they're dangerous, then it goes into, right, basically, would you say that this cause and effect passage is mostly focused on causes or mostly focused on effects? Do we have one cause with multiple effects, or do we have an effect that has multiple causes?
does the cause and effect passage, is it they are also dangerous?
So yeah, so this dangerous, by saying they're beautiful but dangerous, refocuses us away from the idea of, right, this paragraph is not about fireworks beauty, right? It's not a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful descriptive paragraph about their beauty, anything like that, describing the kind of metals that are used to make different colors. We don't get any of that. And so it shifts its focus right away from saying we're not going to compare and contrast anything about fireworks. We're going to focus on the dangers. I don't think the cause is ambiguous. There should be one clear cause and then, right, kind of two, um, No, I guess it is kind of mostly focused on the causes, right? Because it's focused on this reasons, right? But it's fireworks are the cause, right? Yes, yeah, right. The fireworks are the cause, right? And what is the effect? Property damage, injury, death, right? So, yes, so our cause is the misuse, and then you can see that the next paragraph, right, focuses us in on, right, going into more of these causes, right? One of two reasons means we're focused on causes. Here's our effects, right? Yeah. So, whoops. Sorry, Devon. Wow. That was really crooked. It's not like the PDF highlighter that straightens out my really crooked highlights. So that would be our effects, fireworks, and the reasons that they are, or the ways they can be misused, right? And so we have kind of two causes or two reasons, right? And we should always connect, right? Reasons and causes, and effects go with results, okay? And so here, right, our effect or our result is damage to things and people. Okay. And then we have two clear causes, right? Poorly manufactured products and operator error. Okay. So good. So hopefully you guys are, and I know we haven't spent as much time on cause and effect as we have with others, but we looked at it in Wednesday's class. We just had a new unit on that. So if you need more practice or more exposure to what cause and effects texts look like, definitely take a look at units. I want to say it's unit 6. Unit 6. Okay. Is the well, no, the damage is an effect, right, of the misuse of the firework. So damage control, I mean, safety, that would probably go into more of like a solution. So then you're taking your cause and effect and kind of specifying it and turning it into a problem solution. And that's one of the challenges, right, of distinguishing between a problem solution text and a cause and effect versus problem and solution. And we'll see that here below. But I was gonna maybe touch on problem solution. Well, we'll see here. Okay. But it looks like you guys did a good job there. Okay. And like I said, so it looked like 8 of you guys got and this one didn't have a lot of cause and effect language, but I think you guys did okay. Let's see. Sorry, I have to keep scrolling back up and down. I can't ever decide what I want. Question 5, question 6. All right. So, I mean, once again, please don't directly copy. And remember, when you're asked to find transition signals, Ryan, there's always more things happening. But remember, our job is to focus on what the text tells us and to not chase rabbits beyond the text. We have to stay in the limits of the text and the information we're provided and given to work with there. So if we're thinking about factors outside of that, it's probably, while it would be useful like in a discussion, or if you're bringing, I know you weren't totally serious, but I'm trying to savor these last moments of over explaining things because you ask questions. So but once again, so the answers that I chose, right, would be these ideas of anything that's reasons you know, anything like usually happens, right, would be that cause and effect, right? When we expect something that usually happens, we would generally say it's an effect, one of two reasons. So anything like that. So once again, a full sentence isn't a signal, okay? I mean, once again, this is good. It's in your own words, but it's not any of the actual. So it's like when you, that third question that asks for those signal words, those words you should pull out. Well, I appreciate it, Ryan. I am having fun. Okay, so remember that here, however, kind of works, but it's usually a contrast signal, right? But once again, we know that sometimes our signals get sprinkled into other text types. So we can look at that one. That one should be correct. I think it wasn't. Okay, such as is not a cause and effect signal, right? It is an example signal. So it should be signaling an example, but it's not part of what's giving us that cause and effect text structure. Okay. So remember, like with our descriptions and our illustrations / examples, right? We always want to signal it, but generally those signals are just for that example piece within that bigger text structure. Okay. I would say misusing is good. Like I said, there weren't a lot of our classic cause and effect language in this text, but I'm glad that you guys are kind of, once again, if something is being kind of framed as problematic or negative or having kind of a bad outcome, you know, probably talking about some kind of cause and effect, right? And we generally know the whole meaning of the word misusing, right, is clearly meaning you're probably not going to have the desired effect because of the misuse. So I keep that one. Okay, once again, such as is an example signal, but it's not necessarily, you know, it's not a cause and effect signal. So when you determine what kind of text structure you have, you need to match your signal phrase, right, with that text structure. Okay. All right, let's look at the third passage. Okay. So here, once again, this one kind of, right, starts out with looking like it could be compare and contrast because we get these compare and contrast words. We get kind of, right, two topics that you could compare and contrast, right? But then similarly, right, then it shifts gears going into this third sentence. And so hopefully you guys noticed that, right? Don't just stop at the first sentence or first two sentences. Even if you see what you think like, you still need to scan through the whole text and confirm, okay? Okay. So if we look at our topics, oops. See how we did. I'm gonna. All right. Oh, here, actually, sorry. So let's see. I put the development of fireworks, history of fireworks, fireworks throughout time, something like that should be our answer. Okay. So if we look at some of these other ones, I would say the paragraph is not about how fireworks are used, nor is it focused specifically on their use in celebrations. So, okay. Once again, you're kind of copying one sentence of detail from the paragraph. So it's not going to be the topic. Inventions, okay. Our Chinese. I would say that's the Chinese invention part is a detail about the topic. Is it the focus of the paragraph? I would say not quite. This one's good. Origins is probably one of the combinations I did not come about. Now, once again, this is true, but remember, gunpowder is really only mentioned in like the first 2-3 sentences, and then it only focuses on fireworks. So it's not going to be part of the topic. Once again, it's more of the hook to kind of pull you into the text. No worries though. Okay. I mean, we get China and we get England. I mean, it's not necessarily about their popularity, right? That's not the focus of the paragraph. So I would say that's probably not the best way to phrase the topic. This one, history, is good. When and where they were invented is good. History, like I said, I couldn't anticipate every answer. But hopefully you guys see why that would be the best answer. Okay, so as far as the structure of passage 3, it looks like everyone's, oh, no, that one's, here we go. So good. So once again, a few people got a little bit hasty, right? And got deceived by the first couple sentences. That is kind of a little compare and contrast, but I'm glad to see that the majority of people chose chronological or time order. Okay, you might see either one of these ways of talking about it, but good. Chronological through time, right? And so those are going to be mostly our social studies passages on history or the invention of something, the development of something, right? All of that is always going to generally be chronological in structure, okay? Transition signals, right, for time order. So anytime you see during, right, during the 13th century, in the 17th century, so anytime you would have mentioned any of the centuries. We also have terms like after. Nowadays is also, right, a time order signal that puts us in the present. Okay, so let's see, how did you guys do? So yeah, and like I said, it must have been because I capitalized that some of these got. Okay, once again, there's no signal here. I mean, at least as long, now that's still just comparison. So I guess if you chose comparison and tried to put this in here, but remember, a sentence is not a transition signal. It should be a word or phrase that's connecting either two sentences or connecting ideas within sentences. Beautiful. So like I said, some of these, that one, just a little spelling. Okay, once again, this is a detail about one of the points in time, but it's not a signal or transition. It doesn't help me really know that this is a chronological text, okay? No. So this, right, if you had just stopped here, right, that's the signal, okay? This is the information that this is signaling, right? This phrase places, right, that in time. So this phrase here, this very long phrase, it's okay, Wade, is the signal, okay? And like I said, you're new to this, so you're definitely not far off the path, okay? Both is a comparison signal. We're not comparing here. That comparison was just, right, that little treat, right, to pull us in. It was that hook. So remember that that can happen. Sometimes we go straight to a topic sentence. Other times there might be that little hook. So try to kind of know that, yeah, that pulls me in, but the meat is in the body of the paragraph. Okay. And that's where the transition signal should be too. All right, last passage. All right, passage 4. There is an increase in firework related injuries every year around the 4th of July. Emergency rooms around the city become filled with children and adults suffering from wounds and burns inflicted by fireworks. But you don't have to suffer from these injuries. Keep yourself safe by staying away from fireworks. If you see someone who is not a professional playing with fireworks, take that as your cue to leave. If everyone stayed away from fireworks, there wouldn't be any firework related injuries. You can't control everyone, but you can control yourself. If you remember that accidents happen, you can keep them from happening to you. Sorry. You can keep them happening to you. Stay away from amateur firework displays on the 4th of July. Okay. So this one should, whoops. Oh, to do that. Yeah, no worries. All right. So if we look at, sorry, I keep doing this, guys. All right, so yeah, so the answers I put in there, you know, firework injuries, avoiding injuries, maybe 4th of July safety. Like I said, it's always probably going to be near impossible. Let's see how you guys did on these. Okay, firework safety, I would say that one's good. How to use fireworks properly, I like that. Safety of fireworks, good. Good. I mean, this is kind of like mostly the solutions. I'm feeling generous. Okay, here, once again, it's a little too specific for the paragraph's topic. It's also a sentence straight from the paragraph. So, persuading, yeah, definitely. Staying away from fireworks, firework related injuries. Great. Great. Good. So it looks like you guys did a good job of zeroing in on our topic. Oops. All right. And let's see how you guys did here. All right. So a few of you chose descriptive, but good. Once again, it looks like the majority of us were good and identifying a problem solution text. Okay, good. And so this one as well was a little tricky because there's not as many direct signals, but it really is pretty common, right? If we look at our problem solution text here, okay, usually, right, the paragraph begins by framing the problem, right? And hopefully you guys agree that the first 2 sentences, right, are right, kind of explaining the problem. Yeah, I'll get into that in a second, Ryan. I don't know which version of the story you want to hear, but and then you can kind of see how this next sentence, right, is kind of our transition, right? So the first 2 sentences kind of frame the problem. Then, right, we transition from the problem into right, possible solutions, right? And so then you get kind of solution number one. And then just kind of a lot of explanation, right? Or kind of almost a lot of like preachiness, right? Um, and so so yeah, so you guys did a good job on that. So as far as signal words, yeah, it's not so much like those words or phrases that we could find, especially like the first, second, after kind of thing. Here we want to look more at, is it, once again, framing a problem and then offering solutions. And so one of the ways that they signal that is with these types of sentences. And these are hopefully look like advice style sentences, right? They start away with a verb, right? Because it's directed at the person reading, or if I was reading it to someone, right? Keep yourself safe, right? Stay away from amateurs, okay? Um, so that would be one of my first signal phrases, is just the way that they kind of talk about that. But then, anytime it's talking about an increase in injuries, right? Hopefully everyone begins to say, they're sure making that sound like a problem, right? Anything that increases injuries, generally a problem, because injuries are a problem. Hopefully you agree. Okay. And hopefully it's not too ambiguous to not be able to agree with. And so right away, so, if I'm getting examples, I'm getting words like suffering, right? You don't have to suffer. Okay. So that right away says, yes, this is a problem. However, right, there are solutions. And so oftentimes you might have a contrast signal kind of between the problem part and the solution part, because, right, they are kind of in contrast with one another, right? Or kind of the opposite of each other. Excuse me. So let's see what I put. So, yeah, anything increase in injuries, suffering, injuries. Like we said, keep yourself safe. Anything about, accidents generally are problems, right? Anytime I say stay away from something, right, I'm giving you a solution. So let's see how you guys did. Okay. So, I mean, stay is kind of the beginning of that, but it's not enough to really understand what you mean. Okay. So this one, right, is a lot clearer. And so once again, yeah, sometimes it's not going to be like as direct, but that is a clear solution, right? When you tell someone to stay away from something, that is a solution. This one's okay. Once again, try to kind of condense your signals into just chunks of words, like you don't have to suffer or keep yourself safe. I would probably chunk that a little bit more. Okay. This is more of, right, the detail, and here's the signal, right? So remember, a whole sentence generally doesn't signal something. It's going to be the words and phrases inside of it. Okay. But I'm already being pretty generous, so I'll go ahead and give you points there. Passages being descriptive of accidents. Good. So it's a little bit of a summary sentence. It's not necessarily the transition signals or the words or phrases in the text, but yeah, this one good, right? Anytime you're like, you don't have to do something, right, that should be right, we would expect to see a solution there. So that's good. Um, I really hated this sentence in the passage. I think it was kind of like a grr, but and I mean, sometimes we talked about this a little bit. Sometimes if signals cause an effect, it creates what we call that conditional type situation. If blank, then blank. And so once again, it's very common in problem solution. So if you had maybe just chosen like if is our signal, but the whole sentence, not so much, but I already gave. So I didn't include if, but I think it's okay. Um, like I said, if is kind of its own category, but it's very common in cause and effect and problem and solution. But it's also a way of offering an example, offering what we would call, right, a hypothetical situation. So it might not be a concrete, realistic example or detail, but we're setting up the scenario to try to explain and illustrate. But like I said, but kind of helps us make that transition. Um, I like your typo, Ryan. I am assuming you that was a guess, but I would say yes, Ryan. This is on the test. Reading is on the test. It's on all the tests. And I sincerely hope that the skills and the practice that we've been doing in this class has improved your reading skills, given you more strategies to help you be a better reader, um, and given you a lot of opportunities to practice and apply your reading skills. Um, it's okay though. Um, actually, would be kind of fun to say that now as a teacher. Good, good. I'm glad, Angel. I'm glad that you feel like what I've been doing has been helpful. Sometimes it is a challenge, but all right. Any other questions or comments about this activity? I think you guys did a really good job. And like I said, I liked these texts because they really show how, right, you can take a very broad topic, right, and as you can basically talk about it in all of these different ways, um and hopefully you can see how those texts are structured to express that specific type or kind of idea. So cool. All right, so this was a good review. um and don't worry about the actual points you might have gotten on that. So um